We're going to go ahead and do some practice today. So take a moment, maybe pause, and copy down this vocab sheet here. Oh boy. Philosophy at the bottom. And irai at the bottom here. Also, blammo. This right here. Okay, so once you've paused and copied those down, we'll move on to here. Now do it again. Pause and write these down. Give yourself space though, because we're going to go through these and we're going to do some annotations that we can translate. All right, so starting with the very first one, lingua latina, me vocat. So I'm going to give you me right here. It's a pronoun. It's me. It's in the accusative. We will go through pronouns later, but they are much more irregular than our nouns that we're working through right now. So for right now, I'll just give it to you. So this will be accusative. And as far as like parts of speech, we know that it's a pronoun because I told you. Now, what about the other two parts? Lingua latina. This will take as one thing, these together. Also a noun. Okay. And what case is it going to be in? It's going to be in the nominative. Let's look at our verb over here from voco, vocare. So what do we know about this verb? It's in the third person, looking at the ending. It's singular. It's present. It's active. It's indicative. It's from voco vocare to call. So third person singular, he, she, it calls. Who is the one calling? Well, what's our subject? Lingua latina, Latin, the Latin language. Latin calls me. Latin, she calls to me. Calls me to study. Just calls to me because it's a beautiful language. All right, let's move on to the next one. Go ahead and pause. Give yourself a moment to attempt this on your own and then check it against my translation. So let's look at the sentence, poeta puellam amat. So poeta, the poet, and this could be the nominative singular form or it could be the ablative form. There's nothing in the sentence that indicates ablative. There's no verb that takes the ablative that's showing motion away from or location in. There's no preposition. So this is going to be a nominative singular. Okay, and this is a noun. Obviously, we're looking at the noun case. Puellam, another noun. We're looking at our parts of speech. Amat, a verb. Puellam, we know is accusative from that ending right there, am. That's an accusative singular ending for a first declension noun. It's going to be in the accusative singular. So this is the girl as the direct object. This right here is the poet. Oh, I guess I did not write on that vocab sheet what verb this is, but we went through it. This comes from amo amare, which is a first conjugation. You're gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I still do it. Say declension when I mean conjugation. Say conjugation when I mean declension. It just happens. So this is a first conjugation verb from amo amare. So it is a third person singular. We can see that from the T at the end. Third person. It's present. Okay. Singular. It's active and indicative because that's the only thing we're working in right now. So amo amare is to love. So if it's third person singular, he, she, it loves, and we need a subject. Subject is in the nominative, subject for the verb. The poet. The poet, the girl he loves. He, she, it loves. So the poet loves the girl. All right, next, poeta, puelis rosas dat. Poeta could be a nominative or ablative, but there's nothing in this sentence to indicate that this is anything other than nominative. So nominative also, we'll go through and we'll do, getting ahead of myself, parts of speech, noun, 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 verb. Okay, so nominative, singular, poet. Puelis, we know that that is either going to be the ablative or the dative. So let's hold off on that for a second and we'll come back to it after we get a little bit more context. Rosas, we know from this ending that it can only be an accusative plural. Okay, so the roses. So this is probably acting as a direct object, and our verb dot, oh my goodness, I did not write that on the vocab sheet, did I? That's foolish. So this is our verb. So this is from do, dare. Oh no, I did write that one on the vocab sheet. Just kidding. Do, dare, dedidatum. So I can just kind of smudge. So this is the third person. We know that from the ending. It's singular. It's present. It's active indicative. So do, dare is a first conjugation verb. So it's to give. So the poet gives the roses. So puelis, so we have an option. It can either be ablative or dative here. Well, we have do, dare, and remember, dative is the case of giving, showing, or telling, and we have a verb of giving right here. So puelis is going to be in the dative. Dative plural, to the girls. The poet, oops, not poets, the poet. Gives roses, because roses is plural as well, roses. To the girls. Very good. Next, philosophia, iram, non-vedette. Take a moment, pause, and try this one on your own. Then try it with me. So what are our parts of speech? Philosophia, this is wisdom, this is a noun. Declension. Iram, this is a noun. Again, first declension. Non, this is going to be what's called a negation. And vedette, this is a verb from video vedere. So philosophia can be nominative singular or ablative singular. Nothing to indicate ablative here, so this is going to be a nominative. Okay. So we'll say philosophy, wisdom. Wisdom does what? Let's find our verb. Wisdom does what? Vedette. This is third person, singular, present, active, indicative from video vedere. So sees, does not see, because we're going to take this negation in here, and it's telling us that it's a negation. It's literally saying not this. It does not see. Wisdom does not see. If there was no negation here, if there was no non, it would just be sees. But since there is a non here, not. Does not see. And what does it not see? Iram. Iram is going to be this ending right here. Am tells us that that is an accusative in the first declension, accusative singular, anger. Wisdom does not see anger. Wisdom does not see, you could even say fury. Wisdom does not see anger. Okay, let's move on. All right, pause, work through these, and let's do it together. First up, vita est bona. Vita est bona. We have parts of speech here. Vita, that is life. That's a noun. Est here, that's a verb. Verb. Bona, that is an adjective. There are parts of speech. Est here, this is a form of sum esse, to be. It's third person singular, present, active, indicative. Yes. Vita and bona, these two are going to be nominative, singular. Vita est bona, life is good. So what is this called here, where you have your subject and then a form of to be, and it's drawing an equivalency between either a modifier or another thing? This is called a predicate. Nominative. Okay, that one's pretty simple. Life is good. Vita est bona. Now we're going to go from taking something out of Latin to putting something into Latin. Many poets are not good poets. This is another predicate nominative, so it's going to be pretty easy. So we need, what parts of speech do we have here? Many. Many is an adjective. Poets, this is a noun. Are, this is a verb. Not, that's a negation, and that's going to go with our verb here. Good, that's another adjective. And poets, again, that's another noun. Okay, so if you look over to your vocab list, you should have a multis, multa, multum. That's how you write out your modifier, your adjective. Now, we need to know which form do we use. Multis, which is a masculine, multa, which is feminine, or multum, which is neuter. Well, what are we trying to modify? Many is our adjective right here, and it needs to modify a noun. What noun does it need to modify? It needs to modify poets, okay? So look again at your vocab list and find the word for poet. So poeta, poetai. So we need to take poets and put it into the right noun case, put it in the right form. So many poets here, this is our subject, which means it's going to be in the nominative. Okay, what form do we use? Do we use poeta? No, because that would be singular. We need to make it plural. Poetai. First declension, nominative plural. Poetai. Okay, because there's more than one, there's many. Okay, so our adjectives our modifiers need to agree in gender, number, and case. So we need to use multi, and we need to make it nominative, plural, multi, poetai. And if you think back to the Zoom essay lecture, this is a third person. We need to make it plural for the verb, third, plural, present, active, indicative. So sunt, they are, sunt. And then over here, so this is just non, not, non. And then again, poets. This is going to be a nominative again, because remember, it's not receiving any action of the verb. It's another predicate nominative. It's just drawing an equivalency between these two. It's saying this is this. Poet, so we would use poetai again. And then good, look at your vocab list and find the adjective for good and make good agree with poetai. So from bonus, bona, bonum, we need bona because poeta is feminine, and it needs to be nominative plural, boni. Multi, poetai, sunt, non, boni, poetai. So how would we write this out? We do subject, poetai, multi, subject modifier, multi. Now we can either put the verb in the middle, or we can drop the verb at the end. I think at this point, we're just going to put the verb right in the middle here with its negation first, of course. Non sunt. Just so it's easier to see the difference between the two. And so it's a little bit clearer for new learners. Poetai, boni. Poetai multi non sunt poetai boni. Many poets, they are not good poets. Okay, there's another one next that we're going to put from English into Latin. Let's do our parts of speech. Land, this is a noun. Of, it's kind of a preposition in English. Here it's going to be connecting with Italy to make a genitive. So we're going to put another and noun here. This is a verb. Be, this is a preposition. Europe, this is another noun. Okay. Let's look at our verb first, because it'll be quick and easy. Is. This is a third person singular, present active, indicative. That's pretty easy. So that's going to be est. Est. Okay, so this preposition, in, I think I've told you before that one is one that always goes with the ablative, or not always with the ablative, but usually goes with the ablative. And we're saying it would be with the accusative here if we were showing motion toward anything, but we're just talking about location within. So that's going to mean that this is going to be an ablative preposition in, and that Europe here, because this preposition is going with this noun right here, Europe is going to be in the ablative. In Europa. So what's the subject here? The land. The land is the subject. It's going to be in the nominative. So the land, look at your sheet. What is the word for land? Terra, and it's a singular nominative. The land of Italy. This is going to be a genitive. So look at your sheet. Italia, Italiae, Italiae. Terra Italiae est in Europa. And that works right there. Or you could write Terra Italiae in Europa. And then you could make the choice whether or not to include est here at the end or include it at all, because sum esse is often implied. It does not always need to be explicitly written out or explicitly said. It is understood. Same kind of way as you is understood when you use the imperative with someone. Don't always say you there, do this. It's usually just come here, stop that. Whereas you is the implied of like you come here, you stop that. All right, last one here. So remedium irae est mora. So what are our parts of speech? Remedium, this is a noun. Irae, this is another noun. Est is a verb. Mora is another noun. It's another predicate nominative. Sort of, yeah. It still works as one. So here we know remedium. This could be in the accusative or in the nominative. We're going to go with the nominative because there's nothing else in here to assume that it'd be an accusative. The verb here is est, third person singular to be. So is, third singular from sum esse. So there's no way that there could be an object of this verb. There's no verb of motion or anything. So this form right here is just going to be nominative singular. So the remedy irae. Irae could be it could be genitive singular, it could be dative singular, or it could be nominative plural. There's nothing here to indicate nominative plural because the verb is singular. So it could not be nominative plural, because if it were nominative, it would have to be the subject of the verb, and it's not. The verb is singular. The subject of the verb is remedium. So it can't be nominative plural. It could be dative, but we don't have any verbs of giving, showing, or telling, so it's not going to be dative singular. It's going to be genitive singular. It's possession here. Well, sort of more of a kind of like a quality. Remedy of anger. if the verb was something other than est here, if it was something like, if it was something like remedy not as a noun, or if it was like remedying, if it was the verb here, irai could be in the dative. Like it would be like curing to anger instead of curing of anger. But because this is a noun and the verb is third person singular, sum esse, est is, this is going to be a genitive singular. So the remedy of anger is est mora, which is, if you look at your list, delay. So we're drawing equivalence here, an equivalency here between remedium and mora. Remedium est mora. This here is just kind of there for a little extra information. So this is a nominative singular. Now these are two different genders, but that's fine because mora is not modifying remedium. In a predicate nominative, they're not trying to modify each other. It's drawing an equivalency, saying these two things are the same. All right, good practice today.